Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek. It's time for that cargo ship lifestyle, where the food sucks, the warp drive is slow, but the football really flies, and there's plenty of time to increase the crew size. Hey, the Naussicans just showed up. Oh, but the Enterprise is here to help, which is wonderful, but don't ask about the meatloaf.
All right, make sure that her quarters is nice and clear because the ambassador ship just docked. All right, so, and get the dots to make sure that whole area is done. Oh, wait, the light's on. All right, get it done. Hey, welcome back, everyone, here to Starfleet Underground. Thank you for joining us again, and we are going to be going through normal introduction, but we have a returning guest, which we're always excited to see her grace our wonderful corridors, especially since, she's not been on a new ship. So it's most awesome. It is an air of royalty for us. So, of course, my name is Captain Nathan Adams aboard this wonderful vessel. And we have here our science officer.
Hi, I'm Heather Ferris. I'm the science officer. I'm also the one running around trying to get these Tribbles who are running around in lingerie. I told them that this is an adults-only show, no kids allowed, and they just went berserk and put on the lingerie and started running around. So now I'm trying to get them before the ambassador sees them.
I got some bad news for you. I heard them trying to practice Tribble cooing sexy. They were like, cool. And they're doing sachet rolling down the corridor, so that's definitely interesting.
Oh my.
And we have here, as you heard, our voice of our computer guy.
Hello, I'm Patrick. I'm number one. I'm also the computer guy, and I'm the foreign species liaison.
And our engineer who makes us go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rocky, the engineer who makes us go.
He's a pack lid.
Engineer of the show and the ship.
And of course, I saved the best for last, and truly the best of us. We have our ambassador here today.
I am Ambassador Tapan from the planet Vulcan, and I have been assigned on occasion to come to Earth to see how you Earthlings are progressing as you venture out into space. Thank you.
It is indeed agreeable to have you aboard our ship today, Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope your quarters are to your satisfaction.
They will do.
I have to talk to you, Patrick. I told you. Okay, cool.
I'm not in charge of crew quarters.
It's a smaller ship, so the quarters are a little bit tinier on the Defiant class.
Yeah, this is true.
Now you know why her quarters aren't ready.
That makes some perfect sense over here. All right. Well, today's show is being brought to you by, of course, Section 31. And also for those of you who have been kind enough to go out and take a look at our Patreon, if you want to sign up for it, please do. We got various tiers for various interests that you have, including postcards from the Tribbles, as well as other things, which is very, very, very cool. Next
Patrick will knit you a hat.
Yes, he is dying to knit a hat. He's all set and ready. I know it's springtime, but maybe he can use like lighter yarn or something. Oh, perfect idea, Patrick. With all the shedding going on by the Tribbles, how about if you knit a hat made out of Tribble fur?
No.
Well, that answered that question. Next, we have corrections. We have any corrections?
Let me check subspace here, and I do not see any communications. Looks like we had a perfect show.
Once again, we're just flawless, which is what's awesome. Okay, we're going to start now. We're going to jump into the news of the week. And I think because the ambassador's here, we're going to let the ambassador go first. Do you have any news from us that you bring from Vulcan or from home anywhere, Ambassador?
I do have news. Actually, it is news from Earth. As you know, we continue to monitor the progress that Earthlings are making as they explore their solar system and as they try to see how they can get beyond the solar system, which of course would require warp drive. I would like to say that in our monitoring on March 4th, there was an announcement by the Physics Alliance that they have come up with a new theoretical approach to warp drive, which would not require negative energy. That is a step in the right direction. However, while this theoretical model would require positive energy, energy. You still have to figure out how to get the amount of energy that will be needed. So there is still work for you to be done to figure out how to get the energy needed for this theoretical model.
And we got it. No problem.
We're looking forward to this. It's going to be
It's just a few hamster wheels with the hamsters.
Exactly.
Oh, so
We'll
cool.
we'll just give them cocaine and let them, get on the wheels, and there you go.
Oh, my.
We're not using drugs. You feed the hamsters Jelly Bellies, or preferably the popcorn flavored or the peanut butter flavored one. That really gets the hamsters going.
Yeah, not the cocaine flavored one.
No, that's not a good thing.
No.
No. And
That is why I believe it'll still be some time when you're talking about jelly bellies. Right now, the theoretical model indicates they would need the power of a medium-sized black hole.
Oh.
So if, in fact, you think your hamsters can provide the necessary energy, good luck to you.
Oh, we're going to have to get highly concentrated Jelly Bellies then.
You know what that means.
Yep.
Experiments. Yes.
Looks like you're pulling an all-nighter, Rocky.
Oh, boy.
You're going to see what you can engineer for us. Next, we got over here for news. You got any news there, Heather?
Yeah, so my news is Grudge the cat is getting her own book later on this year. On November 9th, Hero Collector and Penguin Books will release Star Trek Discovery, the Book of Grudge, which is Book's cat, of course, from Star Trek Discovery, in case anybody didn't know. And it's supposed to be in the view of the cat through the cat's eyes. So this is going to be really funny. You get to see what Grudge really thinks.
That is going to be hysterical.
When he's licking his butt and throwing up hairballs.
They better include some of that. I mean, it's a cat's life.
You never get it on the show, so I assume they're going to be doing it right on that part.
Well, I mean, it's a cat, so,
And,
I've got three of them.
Books always have more details than the shows do.
It's going to be really curious. I wonder who they're going to have to do that, because I do remember during the premiere, they had someone do the voice for the interview for the cat, the translator. They had the translator, so that was pretty awesome.
Well, that was on
that was on the premiere. That was on Discovery second season premiere, where the Grudge was talking to a translator. So I thought that was awesome. You have any news for us there, Pat?
In fact, I do. The city of Boston is declaring March 26th Leonard Nimoy Day on what would have been his 90th birthday.
Wow. That explains why you've been at Earth visiting as well there, Ambassador.
Indeed. In fact, I have given out copies of the Spock Little Book of Mindfulness, which I think should help this country, this world, to focus. Have all of you read the little book of mindfulness?
We haven't gotten a copy of it. I'll have to get one.
It is Mr. Spock's Little Book of Mindfulness.
Patrick, make it happen. You're a computer guy. Go out there on the galactic interwebs and get it for us.
I will see what I can do.
Why is it not on my console right now?
Because?
I expect for it to happen like right away.
Yeah, no.
And Ambassador, thank you. I know, wink, wink, quiet, hush, hush, that you guys have been working with Earth Science and found a loophole for the Prime Directive in order for us to get this thing going on with the vaccines. So it's much appreciated. We know through history what happened, but we know who was working behind the scenes. So thank you.
Indeed. You're welcome.
How about you, Rocky? You got any news for us?
I've been looking at the interwebs, and Miles O'Brien, there's all these, it's like this week it all popped up. Miles O'Brien should be on Picard. Nothing official about that. Just generally fans think that he should be on Picard, which I would tend to agree, because I loved Miles O'Brien and love to see him again. People are actually getting a chance to talk to the actor, Colm Meaney, and he's out there promoting the latest movie he's in, which is called Pixie, which is a crime comedy, which has a lot of great actors in it. And in fact, Alec Baldwin's even one of the co-stars, but there's that one looks like it's already out, so on digital, so you can go find that one yourself and check it out. But he's out there promoting that, but people are asking him, would you come back and play some more Miles O'Brien for us? And, he's like 7 years in space is long enough, and you're always a bit loath to go back. And, that's kind of like not what we want to hear. But he says if there's a good and valid reason for him to pop up and it makes dramatic sense and all of that, yeah, So I think if the writers write it right, if that is enough writing right words at the same time, if the writers, make something compelling to see O'Brien pop up, I think, I would love to see that. And I would love for him to see that and say, yeah, come and do it. Because I could love to see some more Miles O'Brien on.
And it would
Right.
plus, it'd be nice to see the history. What has he done since the Enterprise days?
Oh, yeah. And the S9.
He's been raising a daughter.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And the daughter is old enough. She's probably
Ooh.
in Starfleet by now.
That could be a spin-off series.
That would be cool if they had her on. Hannah,
Yeah, that would be cool.
that would be really cool.
O'Brien knows best.
See the whole family. Yeah.
Oh, God.
That would be awesome. Now, for news-wise, I have some news. First part, of course, is that we have Patreon. I'll keep saying it until I see people join it up a lot. So we do have Patreon. That's the best news. The other news is that Wondercon, which was going to happen in March, but because of the situation is going on Earth right now in the year 2021, they decided to go virtual. So now it's going to be Wondercon at home. So it's going to be March 26th and March 27th. Just go to the site. You'll be able to see the type of programming they're going to have, the type of guests they're going to have. It's going to be really interesting. You'll be able to get vendors, which is online sales during the time of the event. So you still be able to get collectibles, exclusives, and everything of that nature. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Oh, sounds like one of the dots wants to come into my quarters. I'll let you in. Just hold on. We're in the middle of a broadcast. Okay. So that was going on for the news, at least for the news that we have of this week. And next, I guess, comes the final part coming up here, which is our show. Heather?
Well, first off, if you open up the door and the Tribble is in lingerie, just say no. Okay. So this week, our episode was Star Trek Enterprise Season 1, Episode 10, Fortunate Son. It first aired November 21st, 2001. Teaser, Slo-mo Pigskin. The captain and first officer of the cargo ship ECS Fortunate are tossing the old pigskin football around, enjoying some nice time off when they are attacked by Naussican pirates. Bum, bum, bum.
Well, this episode was also directed by LeVar Burton.
I forgot all about that.
I missed that.
Yep. And this is the first contact with the Naussican race.
It was really, first off, LeVar did a good job for this episode, and we'll talk more on that as we progress. But what I thought was kind of cool was the passing in the 0G going back and forth with the football, which was in a way awesome because you throw the football and then you have a chance to have a whole dialogue before it gets to you.
Oh, yeah. And they can have a whole conversation in that giant cargo hold. That was really cool. The acoustics are that good.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
They were shouting a little, but they could hear them. Yeah.
Well, you know.
So that was awesome. And you figured, yeah, that's a perfect place to have it, is in a cargo hold, because cargo ships are literally cavernous on how much space they have.
Lots of space in those things. I'm surprised they could have enough space to throw a football back and forth, actually.
Look at the Nostromo. That was a cargo ship.
Yeah. So
that was huge.
The idea of the cargo ship is kind of cool because it's basically space truckers, zipping through space, carrying cargo back and forth.
Yeah.
Space ice truckers.
And they're not zipping. They're traveling warp 1.8.
No, they had a really bad science fiction movie with Dennis Hopper about space truckers. So if you ever want to check it out, it's there.
Every time I try to watch it, my mother was like, no, you're not watching Space Truckers. No.
Yeah.
She hates Dennis Hopper for some reason. I think he's great.
It's pretty bad. Their cockpit actually had like the pull for the horn and all kinds of stuff, if I remember correctly. Okay, Heather, you were saying?
Also, too, speaking of cargo pits, the corridors of the Fortunate were redressed corridors of the Enterprise with like a new lighting scheme and like several additions to the walls. And the cargo module of the Fortunate was the launch bay of Enterprise, but it just had a bunch of like cargo tubes and boxes in it.
Well, I thought the look looked familiar. I thought it was like, hey, this ship kind of looks like the Enterprise too. It was a very familiar look. It's like, they bump these things together in factories and they all look alike. And there's reasons for that. Speaking of
the cargo bay.
Yeah.
And I'm going through and I'm writing notes and everything and I'm calling it cargo bay and then I have to like rename it because it's like something totally different as I'm looking through Memory Alpha. So I thought it was a cargo bay too.
It's not. What is it?
Oh, it is actually a cargo module.
Well, it is modularized. That was kind of the cool design of the ship, that every section was its own module of cargo.
Right.
They were just missing Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah.
So, all right, I guess we have. And anything you noticed about that first little teaser there, Ambassador?
Only that there was a good and close relationship between the captain and his first officer, Matthew Ryan. That seemed to be going well. We will see as we go forward how it diverges.
It did. I agree. You could tell the actors did a good job, and you're getting a sense, a feel that they've been together for a while, as crewmates.
Almost like a father and son.
Yeah, I agree. Heather, I guess we're ready for our next section.
Okay, moving on to Act 1. No good deeds go unpunished. Starfleet orders Enterprise to drop everything and check out a nearby distress signal. Once Archer and the away team arrive, a hesitant cargo crew reluctantly lets them through the front door so the doctor could help with their captain. Archer offers assistance with repairing their ship, and the first officer slowly agrees. After the group scatters, we see that the fortunate crew was hiding a Naussican prisoner aboard.
That was suspicious. Yeah, when he got on, and it's like, why aren't you guys like with open arms wanting help? What's up with that?
Yeah, you would think it'd be all hugs and parties. We've got visitors in the house.
New people.
It was just like, yeah, hi guys. Yeah, we're busy. Go away.
But the first officer his name is Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan played Constantine, so he's always a suspicious character.
Yeah,
That's why he had that.
I call him first officer throughout this whole thing, so.
I had a question. If, in fact, cargo ships have been running for at least 3 generations, if they have not relied upon Starfleet, why was Admiral Forrest calling the Enterprise to go back? If, in fact, that was the culture of the cargo fleets. It didn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah, because the cargo fleets aren't necessarily part of Starfleet, right? They're kind of a separate thing.
Correct. And there's only one Inex class ship. There's lots of cargo ships that are out there.
They did happen to be the closest ship with the speediest drive to get there quickly, because
correct.
They were like a day and a half out versus the nearest ship 6 months away.
So are you saying that Starfleet has taken on the mandate of protecting cargo ships? I was not aware of that.
I think they just happened to be in the neighborhood. Maybe somebody called up Starfleet and said, hey, our cargo ship's not answering our hails. Could you, by any chance see if they're okay?
Just a question. I'm
thinking, Ambassador, that the earlier part of Starfleet, since the distances weren't that far out and they had shipping lanes, that they decided to be kind of like the Coast Guard in space for the ships going back and forth.
I see.
So they run in protection. I think that's why Starfleet did it. And they also relied on the cargo ships in order to ferret supplies and stuff back and forth.
Yeah, dilithium.
True,
hello.
The dilithium.
Yeah.
However, it seemed that there was a known culture, including the first officer on the Enterprise, that this was something that Travis felt was probably not the right thing. So there was some question that came to my head about, is this a transition of Starfleet or not?
Well, I look at it like it's the highway patrol. Like you expected somebody to, you've got a truck that you're having something shipping from one point to another and it's missing, and you got to call someone else to go, check up on it and see if it's there. And Starfleet's kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I guess we can do that. We've got a ship that can get there and take a look real quick.
Well, it's like they're government contractors, and they're bringing the dilithium to Starfleet. So, you got to look out for your contractors.
Yeah.
But they did also ask for help.
Yeah, a distress beacon was sent.
They did.
So.
That's correct. They did have they claimed somebody panicked and hit the button, but they were sending distress beacons and then not responding when they tried to get back a hold of them. So there's that too.
That's true. I just wondered whether or not Starfleet now was the, as you like to call it, the highway patrol. And even if the captain or the team on the cargo ship didn't want their help, they would come out anyway. Just a question.
Well, it sounded like to me like this is becoming a new thing. Like even Archer said at one point, this is an NX class starship. We may have more of them in the future. So get used to it.
Correct.
Speaking of Archer saying stuff, did you guys notice the long road reference he made? I almost started yelling at the screen.
It would be a
been a
shame to turn
long
around
road.
without helping you.
Getting from there to here.
Right.
Thank you for explaining to me what is going on in Starfleet with respect to the cargo ships.
You're welcome. I know because I'm old. So, no, Patrick, shut. I can feel your jaw getting ready to unhinge to give some sort of smart retort.
I was just going to say one more quote, too, in this section that I thou't was pretty funny was between T'Pol and Travis, where they were talking about cargo ships being out for years at a time, and you have to count the newborn babies because
Yeah,
there's
it's
nothing
like-
really else to do.
It's like, they may have an extra crew member pop up eventually. There's a lot of time between ports. It's not like they're always sitting around playing Monopoly. You know what I mean?
Well, recreational activities, and they only have 8 hours of sleep and 8 hours of work. They have to do something with the rest of the 8 hours.
Exactly. And it's not like they have so many episodes of Jeopardy pre-taped.
Right? Or they, I was going to say, they can't watch Friends.
Right. They have to make their own friends.
Are you telling me Netflix doesn't get a signal out there, here?
They're working out on that amplifier. They're trying to get
Well,
that thing installed. You could see how ratty the signal was when the Admiral called.
Man,
The captain said that they were just getting ready to install that the subspace amplifier. So, Netflix is not available as yet.
dude, I tell you what, if I grew up in that age back then where we just started doing the whole space travel thing and I did not have my entertainment coming to me, now streaming subspace, I would be upset.
At the very least. I mean, you can only have so many movie nights without Netflix.
Right? And not everyone has a Discovery ship that does their own black and white, movies in the shuttle bay.
That's why they eventually got the holodeck technology.
There you
to be able
go.
to help waste time and everything in that nature because
Video
he's
games
right.
and movies rolled into
Video
one.
games. Being bored on a ship, they have the same thing. Whenever there's a blackout on Earth, whenever there's a natural disaster on Earth, when anybody's isolated, there's a whole new generation that's born, and they call them blackout babies, COVID babies, snowstorm babies, because people get bored in the house and there's nothing else to do, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, depending upon your situation.
Well,
So-
this situation, they've got the Naussicans knocking, so there's something to do now.
If the Naussicans are knocking, don't come in.
That's the whole thing, and I agree. What sent my antenna off right off the bat is they make it there and they go to help, and this guy is not forthcoming, and you just get the whole feeling. And Merriweather is trying to explain, well, they're boomers, and this is what happens. This is how they are.
They're fiercely independent.
What I thought was interesting was when Ryan said to Travis, he's like, why did you abandon your family?
That's later.
No, it's not. That's in this section.
Is it? No, I don't think
it's
they
in the
had
next
dinner
section.
yet.
Next section.
Yeah, it's the next section.
That's when they bond.
No.
It is interesting that you Earthlings have to be amused. First, you assume there is a 24-hour day. I'm not sure that's the case, but even so,
Well, we don't have the practice of meditation like Vulcans do. We're not as skilled in that as you are.
perhaps you should begin.
Dang.
Perhaps you should begin.
I believe we should.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I agree. Patrick needs a lot of meditation.
Tapan showed me how to do meditation, and now I swear by it. So you got to try it with her. She'll show you.
Oh, that wasn't slamming anybody. That was just making an observation.
No, and I'm grateful
If it
that
came
you-
across that way, that's not how I meant it.
And I'm grateful that you did show her, my science officer, because she's actually managed to cook something and didn't burn it for the first time ever.
It was amazing. Even though it was ice cream, still amazing.
Yes.
How do you cook ice cream?
You can.
I burn
Some people
everything.
fry it.
Yeah, she arched her eyebrow just like a Vulcan and go, I've heard of a thing called deep fried ice cream. I should try
Yes.
it. And we're like, no!
They're like, red alert, she's cooking something.
Not the galley.
Fire!
Oh, dear.
Fire!
It's already set. So thank you so much for teaching her that meditation routine, Ambassador.
And again, the little book of mindfulness, I would recommend it highly.
I still don't understand why it's not on my console yet. I told Patrick like 10 minutes ago to get it.
Check your subspace communication.
Oh, hold on. Did it pop up on mine? Oh,
It's on
okay.
Amazon.
Got it.
It's on
Thank
the
you.
pad.
It's on the pad.
It's just on the pad. So don't be trying to get me in trouble.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I won't be saying anything else about it. Thank you for getting it. All right. I guess now, since we've talked that out and Patrick wants to jump into bonding, let's go ahead and go to the other section.
Okay, Act 2. Surprise! On Enterprise, Travis and the fortunate first officer bond over being raised as boomers, but it ends on a sour note when Travis is accused of betraying and abandoning his family. T'Pol figures out that the fortunate crew is keeping a Naussican prisoner, and Archer confronts the fortunate first officer about it. He caves in and admits to everything, taking Archer and the away team to the cargo module where they launch a surprise attack. Surprise! By the end of it, the Enterprise away team is locked in an empty cargo module as it is detached from the rest of the ship, while all the time having a hole in the wall, for good measure.
That was pretty wild. First off, Archer did, I think, LeVar Burton or whoever wrote the show knows how military people act. Because when he says well, you're not going to do what we want, we're going to take all our parts back and basically leave you adrift. And he's like, no, you can't do that.
It's like, you want to be independent, huh? Well, so, there you go.
And one time I was in charge of cleaning, the people I was in charge with was supposed to clean the barracks for inspection. So I had all the Marines clean the barracks completely. We're supposed to go to Liberty right after the inspection. So Staff Sergeant comes in and he asks me, at the time I was a corporal, and it's like, is this barracks ready for inspection? And I told him, yes, Staff Sergeant, it is. I dare you to find dirt. Why did I say that? So he looked at me, he goes, oh, you dare me? And I says, yes, Staff Sergeant, this place is very clean. He goes, lift up your boot. And I said, what was that? He says, lift your boot up, Marine. So I lift my boot up. He takes his finger and drags it along the heel and the sole of my combat boot. And he looks at it and goes, looks like dirt to me. This place isn't clean. And he turned around and he walked out. I turned and looked, and you had 60 Marines look like they wanted to kill me. So it was like,
you got to be careful about bragging accidentally.
My God. So
was Liberty canceled?
No. He actually made us sweat it out for an extra 2 hours before he came back in. And then he walked up to me and goes, is the barracks ready for inspection, Corporal? And I says, yes, Staff Sergeant, it is. He says, do you dare me to find dirt? I said, no, Staff Sergeant, I do not. And he nodded. And he goes, okay. And he just took 2 steps in, looked up and down and around and goes, the place is clean. You guys can go.
Okay.
But
Lesson
I
learned.
Yes, you never mess with a senior officer or a senior NCO. And that's what that boomer didn't understand. He tried to kind of be smarty with Archer. And Archer was like, oh, really? So we'll just take our stuff then.
What I found interesting, though, was the dynamic between Ryan and Travis when they're talking about, life as a boomer. It's very insular. It's kind of like the Belters in The Expanse, where they believe that, they are a separate people from the rest of the galaxy or the universe, and that they do everything by themselves for themselves, and any outside interference is not wanted, not appreciated. And to leave, like if you were a Belter and you went in to live on Earth, which, would be almost impossible, but if you tried, the Belters would not take you back. So it's the same principle here, where Ryan's like, you're a traitor, dude.
It's its own culture is what it is.
Yeah.
You spend so much time. And the other aspect of this, which is fascinating to me, is the difference in warp engines and how that affects their lifestyle. Because they're saying at warp 3, your 5-year run at warp 1.8 will be cut down to 6 months. So you're from 5 years to 6 months. Wow, that's a huge difference. And then Archer's got the warp 5 engine. I mean, the technology difference. It's like talking to a person who has a computer from the early 80s, and that's how they get on the internet, but they can barely get on it because they can barely get on a network at all.
Dial up, Mom, get off the phone.
Yeah, way early dial up versus, I got fiber coming in here in a gigabit, baby. I'm badass. I can get all of the Netflix that Heather could desire at my fingertips,
Woohoo.
But you got to see, there are some people who just don't like change at all. And just like he said, it's like, why do we want to go faster? We just missed the enjoyment of the trip. But some people, it's like, I don't want fiber. I like when it's slow to download because I got time to make dinner and everything before it's ready.
Well, there are people that want to to actually go out and live off the grid. Yeah. I mean, that's desirable to lots of people. So it's kind of a fascinating difference in lifestyle to me.
It's something that I think a lot of people aspire to. Not as many people go off the grid. If you look at some of the homesteaders in your Alaska, it is a hard life. And while the fantasy of it is quite appealing, the reality of it is a different case.
It's a different challenge.
It's a horse of a different color.
It's a totally different challenge. And many people who have that dream of living off the grid have tried and can't, or who never quite get there. But you're absolutely right that there are some for whom being off the grid, being away from the civilization of rules and regulations is attractive. And they do make it. Even in Vulcan, we have had such individuals.
Oh, that's true. You had the offshoot. I remember that.
How about the NutriPacks? Mystery meals.
No.
Life growing up on a cargo ship must really not be that exciting for food.
Well,
and 5 years of it?
It must not have been, because he had no food. He hasn't eaten food in forever. He had a perfectly good steak and potatoes there, and he left.
I mean, they've got actual meat there. Well, or is the meat synthesized? Actual veggies and potatoes. Well, the meal was really, really fancy compared to what they get on the cargo ship.
It was real meat and potatoes and vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, they actually had, places to grow, nice veggies. But at the same time, he's offended by the idea. Travis suggests maybe you should join Starfleet. We could use some good crew people. And then the counter to that is, well, yeah, but who's going to run the cargo? I'd like running the cargo. This is my thing. And you abandoned your family.
That's all he knows.
Yep, yeah, that's what the ambassador said. There's some people, they don't want the change because it's familiar. That's all he knows. That's all he's been doing. He doesn't want to take the chance to go out there, and he looks at it as a betrayal because, you went and abandoned your family.
Well, and also the fact that his family was killed on the horizon. He has something more than just abandoning the family. There is an perhaps for him, recognized loss. And he would be abandoning his family who had died on a freighter if he were to consider going to Starfleet.
It would have been nice if they'd have told us how the horizon was blown up, as opposed to just leaving it out, hanging out there
Wasn't it pirates again?
They didn't say.
Oh, they never said?
They actually didn't say.
No, they didn't say on this episode. But the fact that when he said that, you can see it kind of hit Travis between the eyes some. But the guy to bring it up is
dude was really a buzzkill. He's kind of a bummer after that. I mean, you've shown him a good time. We got all this. Here's check out our cool ass starship and have some nice dinner. It's so good.
He could have waited until after dessert.
Yeah, right. I mean, totally. He just kind of threw up the whole night and offended him, and it kind of really, really spoiled the moment.
It's like, oh, look at you, so fancy, eating actual meat. Ooh,
But it turns out he's got other things on his mind because he happens to have a Naussican he's trying to torture information out of.
And also,
here I thought it was
traitorous first officer.
Here I thought it was the holodeck that was on his mind.
And also, he does have that sense of guilt.
Yeah, this is true.
Because of his parents, because of his family. And it's not that deep in his subconscious. It can be triggered at any time. And obviously, Travis having abandoned his family immediately triggered it.
Yeah, I mean, it is the old, you fly out the nest, you fly the coop, you left your family behind. Or did you go out and, make a thing for yourself? I mean, there's 2 points of view to it, and they're really extreme.
Well, there's a lot of that happening today. One of the big problems that's going on right now when it comes to farming, a lot of people growing up on a farm do not want to continue the family legacy, and they leave and they go. My friend of mine, who I lived on his farm for a little while, his parents owned a working farm, and both of their children grew up and left. They didn't want to work the farm. They wanted to do other things. So they had to wind up renting off a large portion of their land to corporations and stuff in order to use it. And it's the same thing, I imagine, being a boomer. You're out there and you grew up on ship and you figure, I want to do more. And it's like, well, this is the family thing. Yeah, I understand that, but I want to do more. So
some of it has to do, I mean, you were talking about farms, and I have experience in other parts of this planet with farms where it's the same thing. Parents have farmed for generations and the children do not want to farm. It has to do also with exposure to alternative lifestyles and expectations of lifestyles. If you're slogging around in the mud while your cousin or your friend is now buying a new car or living in a nice apartment, lifestyle expectations change. So it is not just a U.S. thing. It is an Earth issue.
I'm all for alternative lifestyles. Woo!
Is this where the robots come in and start doing this stuff that
sometimes that's what it takes, you know. You don't have nobody else wants to do it, so
dots.
You bring out bring the dots out and
Let's
get the farming
dots.
done.
We got farmer dots, we got milking dots, we got chicken dots, we got
chocolate dots.
No, not chocolate dots.
We got
don't
ice cream.
eat the dots.
We got ice cream dots.
Sounds delicious.
Dippin' Dots.
How about when Paul is out on the ship and she's inspecting it and trying to help them? She's really uncovering the mystery and at the same time playing with the kids.
Yeah, that was funny.
I like that little scene right there. That was kind of unexpected to me. But yeah, they're just diverting internal sensors to the weapons. And, I can reset that for you and fix that. And they're like, oh, no, don't do that. Because they like that defense so much. Or is it they're hiding something?
Well, and that's the most playful we've ever seen her get with anyone, and with hiding that child.
That
Who
was
would have
so
thought?
cute.
She's great with kids.
I love that.
And then she's like, I was just telling him the truth.
Yeah, that's a good lesson, by the way. Always tell the truth.
Vulcans love and appreciate their children. It may not be experienced the same way Earthlings do, but we do.
Yeah, tell that to Cybok.
Wait, I got a question. Do Vulcans have a version of hide and go seek?
It is not quite the same thing.
Okay.
But children play among themselves. Yes.
Cool.
It is perhaps a bit more ethereal, but yes.
Cool.
And you can kind of tell because when that little kid ran inside the enclosure and the other was, have you seen her? And she told the truth, but in a certain form of way. She didn't lie. She just says, I don't know which one of you is called that. She was telling the truth.
I love that. Was cool. It was kind of very playful for a Vulcan. I appreciate that.
It was,
Thank you.
It was very cool. So it shows that, as the ambassador said, that Vulcan's kids do play enough to know that you don't stretch the truth. You just tell it from a different perspective,
Play is an important part of development, of creativity. So we do not keep our children from playing, but it is a productive play, perhaps.
A learning play.
Correct.
Outstanding.
And a socialization play. Play also helps you to learn how to socialize with others.
It looks like I'm going to have to send Patrick out to the Vulcan so he can learn some of these things.
Unfortunately, the play turned out the Enterprise crew was getting played, as in they're being taken to their supposed Naussican, and in fact, they're being locked up in Container 8. It's a trap, guys.
See, that would have got me
It's
right
a
off
trap.
the bat. When they're walking through the corridors and T'Pol's got the thing out, and it's like, I'm not reading any life signs. It's like, yeah, we need to get out of here now. Something is off.
And then they start blasting at them with the phasers.
And Reed's like, get down. And the doctor's like, under the circumstances, I defer to your expertise, your experience.
Phlox is like, yeah, I'm getting down.
Yeah, I was like, the minute he started, he's like, oh, they're in here. I was like, wait a minute. Ding, 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 ding. I'm like,
flag.
Absolutely.
This is a trap.
Yeah, they seem to be walking right in the middle of the cargo for some reason. This doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
My spider sense was tingling.
I will give Archer credit because I think in my position, I would have been a lot more ticked off than he was.
You know what? Yeah, I would have been a little upset. He was very calm and collected about the whole thing.
Maybe he was expecting it, and that's why he was so calm and collected.
Locked into the container.
I was expecting that.
And the guy blasts the shot right in the number 8, right down there. And there's a hole in the thing, and it's hissing the air out, and then they toss him out.
Hey,
That's
that was
just so not
scenario.
cool.
That was scenario number 3.
I was like, what is this, alien resurrection?
And that's why it was scenario number 3.
At first I thought maybe he did it in order to like kill them, but then I realized he did it in order to slow the Enterprise down, knowing that they would have to not follow them in order to save their crew members.
Correct.
And he is so hell-bent on revenge that he basically just left a whole cargo container full of merchandise and stuff that's there, unless that was brutal. A junk room. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're stepping into Act 3 here.
Oh, yeah. So,
are we?
I did it, Patrick. I'm sorry.
We're tiptoeing into Act 3.
I'm like
we're about
wavering.
on the edge.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. But yeah, that was a good section. It was a good build-up. It was good Archer showing his command experience on laying the foundation on the guy. And the guy is really pushing the line on being someone that you're no longer sympathetic for,
As T'Pol said, is a primitive reaction and an irrational behavior. He clearly now has gone into
cuckoo land,
what you humans oftentimes do, based upon this drive for revenge, that he is now acting irrationally. He is not thinking about his crew. He is not thinking about his captain.
He's not thinking about the consequences.
Or the consequences. He clearly has not played three-dimensional chess.
No. And you would think a race that is not used to being logical, they have the one logical phrase that makes sense. And that's the Klingons when they say revenge is a dish best served cold, which means you don't allow yourself to be angry and mad. It's best that you get your revenge.
You think it through.
Yes. So I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you methodically and logically plot your revenge out. You don't go spur of the moment, pissed off doing it like this guy was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Heather?
Okay, moving on. Act 3, The Rabbit and the Tortoise. The Fortunate disables Enterprise's sensors before going into warp. The Rabbit just shakes his head and takes his time before catching up with the Tortoise. Enterprise repairs the ship and starts chasing after Fortunate, during which Travis is disturbed by his conflicting loyalties. He confides his feelings to Archer, who convinces him that Starfleet Code of Honor is against revenge, torture, and killing. Meanwhile, the first officer of Fortunate tortures and almost kills the Naussican, trying to get information. Unfortunately, it's the wrong info, which he finds out when he arrives at the doorstep of a heavily armed asteroid base, and Fortunate's friends come out to play.
Well, what's funny is Ryan, the first officer, he's got a Napoleon complex for one. Mm-hmm. And he has the hurt them before they hurt us mentality, which is never good if you're, captaining a starship.
In command.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I have to feel a little bit for the guy because they really are out there on their own most of the time, and they're getting picked on by these Naussicans. We don't know why the Naussicans are coming out. We don't really see the backstory of the Naussicans. Maybe they've been really getting pushed to the edge. I mean, really.
Archer volunteered to upgrade their hull plating, upgrade their weapons, and he's like, nope.
But okay, this is the thing. That
so he's playing the
also.
victim.
Yeah, but you are in a freighter that was barely able to defend itself against the first attack of Naussicans, and you're going to go to look for all of them?
Right.
In a freighter? And you actually have no cannons or anything?
I didn't say he wasn't crazy. I'm just saying I could feel for the guy.
Irrational behavior.
It's like
totally irrational.
It's like I beat you off with this paper towel roller, and I barely escaped with my life. So
Let's do it again.
I just put electrical tape around the taper power roller, and I'm going to go after you.
I mean, the guy's been beaten up on. You kind of look at this from the bullying angle. I mean, the Naussicans are bullying this cargo ship. I mean, they're especially now when they come back with 3-on-1. That was kind of not cool. But at the same time, they abducted the one guy.
But that is why he should have taken the aid of the Enterprise.
I agree.
If he was thinking rationally.
Well, yeah, and asked for an escort.
I agree.
Yeah, well, he could have worked a different way.
But he wasn't.
You could see it play out differently.
And just like Patrick said, the guy was sitting in his chair with his little hands and with that Napoleon pose, talking about, we're going to get him. We're going to do this. It's like, I think we should leave. No.
We're going to inflict damage.
He should have been having his hands together, like having that maniacal laugh, twiddling his his fingers together up near his face.
They even discovered the little drop-off spot that the Naussicans had to maybe their stolen cargo was over there.
He's
like, we could go recover that, but no, we're going to attack. Let's go. We want to inflict pain.
I thought he was going to do a Captain Sulu. It's like, the ship's going to get blown apart. We'll blow her apart then.
Right? I mean, geez, suicide mission.
At some point, somebody should have shouted, ramming speed.
Oh, my goodness. Really? I mean, it just, you don't want to fight a bunch of like, you have an earth pig being attacked by like 3 jaguars. There's no doubt who's going to win. The thing can't move. It's not maneuverable. It is just basically it's a slug. And he's trying to fight them. Those fast moving corvettes. It's just.
He's blinded by his revenge.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true.
It's a kamikaze mission.
Yeah, and again, Archer showing the type of person he is. He could have said, they tried to kill us. Let them happen, whatever happens. But he's like, nope, we got to save them. That's our job. That's our way to do it. Let's go find them and get them, So I give them credit, and it shows the foundation of the Federation was built on what Archer had wrote and the tenets of what the Federation became from all of his experiences out here in space. So that was pretty cool.
That is true, but I do have another question when Archer is talking to Travis about the human code of behavior, whether or not one is born on Earth. I am not sure that is the case. If you have been away for 3 generations, there has been an evolution of culture, of code, which is not necessarily, while rooted perhaps in the human code of Earth, they've had to come up with their own code. So I wasn't as convinced by Archer when he said, it doesn't matter whether you're born on Earth or not. It does matter. It does matter.
I also agree with you.
Well, I think the code of behavior is what's mattered. It's not where you're from. It's how you behave.
Correct. But your behavior changes in the context of where you are and where you have lived. And if you have been on your own with no ability, you've been on your own.
Yeah, right? You're independent, and you're going to act a little bit differently than if you've just
especially if it's been 3 generations. Yeah. You've seen how your grandfather, your father, in various situations, and it will likely not be the way Starfleet would behave.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the Starfleet ship shows up and you expect you to act a certain way, and you're like, huh?
Well,
correct.
Too, because Archer's being a hypocrite. He's going around talking about, Starfleet code of honor and how you should be honorable, and he's going around breaking enterings.
Whoa, that's just Shale.
And Trip was the first to fire in the cargo bay. It was not the crew of the Fortunate. Trip, yes.
Think about who Trip or was it Travis?
Had the
Travis?
first. No, Trip. Trip did the first shot.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, that explains some things.
So it wasn't Han Solo?
Well, that's a different show.
Okay.
and Greedo had it, he had it coming.
They may have had it coming, but if in fact that was that human code, Travis should not have been the first to fire.
Well, yeah, I guess he was a little salty over being trapped in a thing. So that's...
Wouldn't Travis firing first mean that that's what side he chose? Because you had the Boomer side versus Enterprise side, and he chose the Enterprise side?
He clearly chose the Enterprise side, but you would normally, since it was the Fortunate that had gotten them into that situation, according to Archer, the Enterprise crew would not or should not have been the first to fire.
Gotcha.
The Fortunate crew fired back.
So we're talking about when they left and then they fired upon him and they got out in the nick of time. That's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about when they actually put them into the cargo.
Right. Yeah. So we're not talking about I'm thinking about when the Naussicans are attacking.
No.
No, it's like...
but it does show...
It was rather aggressive. Yeah, and the other thing is I noticed it seemed like they had an escape pod get jettisoned at the same time as the cargo module, and then they're flying away. They're doing multiple techniques to trying to distract the Enterprise. I like the methods they were using. I don't think we ever followed up on that because there was like a little shuttle pod that was ejected too, and they never followed up on that. I'm wondering if something extra was supposed to happen, and I missed a detail.
I think that shuttle pod was the actual shuttle that the Enterprise used to get there in the first place.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
Correct.
They just spit it out.
They just kicked it off and said, take your shuttle pod and you get the heck out of here. Yeah. So Enterprise had to really catch up on stuff. I like their techniques. I just don't like what they're doing.
Well, anytime you get somebody that's used to being out by themselves, you develop a method of protecting yourself.
They're very inventive.
Yeah. To see there or basically get there, he's trying to be Captain Ahab.
Exactly.
After the bunch of little whales, and it's going sideways.
Well, he thinks he's got an advantage. He thinks he's got the shield modulations. He finally beat the codes out of the Naussican, and he thinks he's got the advantages. He's going to make a change. He's going to stand up for himself.
Well, first off, he was stupid thinking the guy would tell the truth.
Well, especially after being tortured.
Exactly.
Yeah, they could tell anything. You can't tell. And being an alien species, how do you know what their tell is from when they're lying? Do you know if like one of their fangs tribble more than the other? Oh, he's lying. You don't know. And so he trusted the guy.
Even in your wars here, it has been documented that prisoners who are tortured, you do not necessarily get the truth.
No.
You get what they will tell you to stop the torture.
Oh, man, if they were torturing me, they wouldn't get the answers out of me, man. I would fight back with everything I had available to me, which is give them some BS, Exactly. I see that point of view.
My mind is blown because now it's like I realize why poker is such a big thing on all of the old Star Trek TV shows like The Next Generation. They're looking for Worf's tell, Okay, what's a Klingon's tell? Hey, Worf, let's get you play a poker game. Let's see what your tell is.
Yeah, because when it comes time to play some real poker,
right,
with phasers
or
phase cannons,
look for.
Yeah, you know what you can see who's going to bluff first.
Exactly.
Poker face.
So next is, I guess we can move on to the next section.
Poker face. Okay.
Actually, that song,
Poker face. I barely know her.
I'm going to clean this up immensely in honor of our ambassador. During the song Lady Gaga, Poker Face, she actually changes the word poker with the F word, her face. And
it's just the way it's sequenced.
It goes, nope.
You think so?
She confirms it.
They played it on the radio like that.
She confirmed. She said only one station ever caught it and bleeped it properly.
Oh,
Everyone else, they get it.
Interesting.
I admit I heard it like 30 times before I realized it myself.
Yeah, this is like in the middle of her lyrics, like Poker Face, she sneaks it in the middle of like 3 in the front and 3 in the back, and it's in there. And she says only one radio station identified it and was able to bleep it. All the other ones don't.
She did that on purpose?
Yeah, on purpose.
Wow.
Oh, totally on purpose.
Yeah, she did it on purpose.
At least at some point they said, "Oh no, we're leaving that in. See if we can get anyone to catch it."
Yeah, they did the same thing in Pink Floyd, The Wall, with All in All, It's Another Brick in the Wall. They changed the word once, and I can't even clean that one up, so I'm not going to.
You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat.
No, this song, like All in All, is just another brick in the wall, except it's a word with rhyme with brick, and they cheat.
Another word for meat.
Think about it.
Yeah, it changes. It's another word for a dangly part. So we're not going to keep going. So we're going to do that.
You could prick your finger, but you can't finger your...
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. So we're going to have that part. So let's continue to the next before we get off the rails.
You mean like we weren't already?
Okay. Yes, Captain. So Act 4. Oops. Enterprise arrives just in the nick of time to save the day. And good news. Enterprise finally found someone who has less firepower than they do. The Naussicans.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hell no. Oh, damn.
The Naussicans notice this too and declare that they'll leave if they could get their prisoner back unharmed. The first officer concedes and gives back the badly damaged prisoner. Oops. Later on, the captain of Fortunate wakes up and is told what happened. He swears to demote his first officer to lower decks and assigns him to cleaning the holodeck filters.
They don't have holodeck filters on a cargo.
Oh, they don't have the holodeck
She's
filters
joking.
yet?
Heather's being funny. She takes these little liberties, rewriting the recaps.
I apologize.
I completely forgot the holodeck hasn't been invented yet.
You took everything I had not to snort when you said the Enterprise found something they could beat up on.
Oh man,
It's
about
too
time.
funny.
Right?
That is too funny.
And I love the bold statement Archer made. This is an NX class starship. It's the first of its kind, and there's going to be more of them.
Yeah.
So you better watch
1.8.
out. I thought that was just, yeah, everyone's going to get their ass kicked because you got these cute little starships that, they're having fun playing Starfleet.
Not recognizing that Vulcan has been out in space and has shipped.
But it's nice to find someone you can at least tangle with at the playground, as it were.
And to Paul's in the corner rolling her eyes.
I wonder if we should do, next time we watch the series, we should take shots every time that somebody tells Archer, it's like, our shots did nothing to their shields.
Man, that'd be fun. One of these episodes, we should do a drinking game.
Yeah, I don't drink though, so.
Well, we could do like apple juice.
Yeah, apple juice. Who said
there
it had
you
to
go.
be alcohol?
Yeah, see?
Well,
There you go.
usually drinking games are alcohol related.
Maybe in your world. You know what?
Well, if you can't partake, you can't partake.
If you put the apple juice in the right bottle, it works.
You know what we can do there, then, Patrick, in order to make it really interesting? We'll do shots of prune juice. So by the end of the episode, everybody's got a little.
But at least you'll be regular by then.
So let's seriously. But the fact that
Are you sure that you'll make it through the episode?
I thought you were going to say, are you sure you're going to be regular?
Is this challenge accepted?
No, we'll have to talk about that challenge later. Maybe we'll get our listeners to play in on it. But the fact is that once Archer was so able to come up with a solution in order to get everybody to stop, because that Fortunate was going to get destroyed.
Unfortunate, real quick.
Yeah. They had people on board and they were making their way through. And it's like, close the hatch. We got this now. Wait, they're cutting through the hatch?
We don't got this. Run.
Yeah, it was pretty dramatic. I love the cinematography in this scene because it was channeling the opening shots in Star Wars, the long hallway, they're sitting there, blasters ready to go, waiting for the bad guys to come down.
And none of them
the
could hit
hallway.
anyone. It's like they were stormtroopers.
They were shooting exactly like stormtroopers.
Thank you,
It's one thing to be very, very accurate when you can shoot right that middle of that crazy 8 in the wall to poke the hole in the cargo hold. That's one kind of shot. It's kind of hard to do the same thing when they're shooting back at you.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce Lee said it perfectly when that guy in Enter the Dragon, when the guy made the big show of breaking the board, and Bruce Lee looked at him and goes, "Boards don't hit back."
Exactly.
So,
Now what you can get is you can get smacked with a board.
and he's right. It's a lot different when you're shooting at something in a target range or when you have that target shooting back.
That's the difference between a Starfleet officer versus the cargo guys.
Yep.
They don't have the training.
No.
Or the stun guns.
They've lived a hard life out there on their own, and they're very independent, but necessarily don't have the same skills.
Travis wasn't hitting no bullseyes.
No, it's a big difference when you're shooting at something and they're shooting and it's a video game to you mentally until once you hear this sound, you'll never forget it in your life. When you hear the sound of a bullet just missing your head, that just puts the fear of God into you after that.
Oh.
And you're pretty much,
you have to change your diapers.
It's an educational moment for sure when you hear that sound. Not that I've heard it, but from what I understand, once you hear it, you recognize it instantly.
And you'll never forget it. And
then you're telling Phlox to get down really quick.
We used to call those moments a sphincter puckering moment, and it definitely is. But the fact that Archer was able to say, what I like is the guy who they had to play the captain of the Fortunate did a really good job because he played someone that looked saged, looked grizzled, and looked like he's been around. Thank you, Ambassador.
he
had. Hello.
And he cared for his crew.
He was my definition of the cargo guys because he was like, come on over. Let's have a drink, man. Let's chit chat and talk. Let's captain the captain. No, seriously, I got some whiskey here. Let me show you a good time. He's got that right attitude that I was expecting to get from these cargo guys.
He was just trying to seduce Archer.
Yeah, they were trying to have a good time.
Well, they have plenty of time.
He's been out of port, for quite some time, and Archer's a good-looking guy. So,
and Easter egg too. The end of this episode was going to be vastly different between this script, the final script, and the previous version.
What was going to be different?
What was going to be different? Yeah,
the end of the episode. It didn't say. It just said that it was going to be vastly different. The way that they had this written was going to be completely different, and then they rewrote it.
Well, they probably had the Vulcans showing up, and
they were probably going to use the transporter.
Oh, they were threatening to use the transporter, weren't they?
Or maybe what happened is that they made it, but not in time, where the Naussicans kills the young upstart.
Oh, and maybe
they did it. So maybe that's too much of a sour note. Like they changed Little Shop of Horrors in the movie. They changed it because they didn't count on people liking Rick Moranis so much. But they had the original ending where Audrey 2 kills him at the end of the movie. So I can see why. Maybe one day during the convention, that's a question.
Now you've got that theme song in my head. Little Shop of Horrors.
Which song would you have stuck in your head? This song or the other song? Heather knows which one I'm talking about.
I can get you to forget the Little Shop of Horrors, Heather.
I like the Little Shop of Horrors. That has some good music, and the dentist is funny.
We go downtown where the lights are low. We go downtown.
Status quo.
I didn't sing the harmony part when I was in high school, but I know the song.
Ambassador, you were getting ready to say something?
The captain, I would agree with Nate. He was grizzled. He was experienced.
Yep.
He cared for his crew. The junior officer, Matthew, when one of his crewmen were shot, he said, he'll be okay. He was still so blinded.
He cared, but he doesn't quite understand the whole big picture. That's the thing that he is disadvantaged is he can't see it. He doesn't have the experience. He doesn't know. He thinks he's doing what is right, but he actually doesn't know what he's doing.
No, he needs more growing.
That is true.
He needs more growing, more aging.
He needs more growing. He needs more maturity. He needs more experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe a little more empathy too.
We used to call the new joins that came into the unit, young and dumb. And that's what they usually are after the first 2 or 3 patrols.
And 5 years to spare.
Yeah, really. And then by then he's going to be all right. But it was a good show. And I think it showed, again, the wisdom of both captains. The Enterprise actually, as Heather said, finally had something they could beat up on.
It's true. That is true.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Travis I thought Travis was slightly out of line when they're on comms and they're talking. And he's like, he's trying to convince the guy, freighter guy to freighter guy, because he grew up that way. And the other guy's like, oh, you again. But he really brings it out. Don't forget about the other ships. What about the other cargo runners that you're causing trouble for over here? I like that he brought that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was good. That showed the only way, because Travis, being a part of Starfleet, sees the bigger picture. Yeah. Where I think a lot of these freighters, they're only concerned with their world. They don't see the big picture.
Well, another thing too, I think Travis is a more decent human being.
Oh, that is
Travis.
True.
Travis is just a cool dude.
Yeah.
I wasn't too thrilled with the first officer. That's why I'm not calling him by his name.
No.
You mean Constantine?
I really... I'm a little torn at this because from his point of view, he thinks he's doing the right thing. He's like, no, if we don't stand up to these Naussicans, they're going to take advantage of everybody. We want this to stop, but he's taken it a step too far.
Yep. But I'm sure Hitler thought he was doing the right thing too.
Yeah. It's just,
I'm not sure.
I think what happened is that now that the right captain is back in charge and the other guy is being a corrosion patroller, that he's going to learn the difference, because obviously the guy's been doing this cargo run, or else he wouldn't be captain on that ship, and he knows how to handle all those different situations.
Well, it's one thing to drive the cargo through the neighborhood. It's another thing to get along with the neighbor.
That's
he's
true.
Got to figure that out, and he obviously did it the wrong way.
Well, they may even have the little trick they used to do in New York. You used to carry 2 wallets. You carried a mugger's wallet and your regular wallet.
I like it. I like it. That's really sneaky.
Yeah, your mugger's wallet had some pictures of people you didn't care about in it, or expired credit cards and maybe $20 $20. Give me your wallet. Here you go. All I got.
Nice.
Whereas your real wallet is somewhere else.
It's in your prison pocket.
Don't put things in that
That's
pocket.
it.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
Ambassador, please continue before I have to eject Patrick.
I think the captain of the Fortunate also learned a lesson because he had trusted Matthew with his ship. And clearly he trusted him to run the ship, not to lead the ship.
I have a feeling,
And so-
though. I mean, it's kind of one of those things you learn the hard way because you really can't tell. I mean, obviously, Ryan's the kind of guy that is on their cargo ship that is really the right guy for the job. Out of all the people on his crew, he's actually the best guy for the job. But
The captain hadn't really mentored him sufficiently for that role.
well, I don't
as
think they were
acting.
used to getting attacked by the Naussicans as often.
No,
either.
they were. They were.
He just had a different idea of how to do things.
Correct.
He was definitely a go-getter. He'd go get himself in trouble.
Yeah, that's for certain.
So the captain will be mentoring him for the rest of that trip.
Is it just me? Was that the captain's quarters he was in, or was it their medical bay? They had an awful lot of coffee thermoses sitting on the shelves in there.
I saw that. Yes.
Did that stand out to anybody else?
There's coffee
Yes.
in that nebula.
It's my favorite place. When you got a long, boring trip, it's coffee.
It's
is a
the
good thing.
it was the medical bay.
Oh, okay,
He was
yeah.
on a medical bay.
And I'm sure one of them had some whiskey in it.
Well, he did because he offered Archer some.
That was apple juice.
Yeah.
He offered Archer some, and it's like, you want it? It's really good. It'll take the paint off a bulkhead. Sure, it's good stuff.
Was Archer really in that big a hurry? I mean, he could have just, okay,
No.
fine. Let's take the night off. Let's
he couldn't-
hang out.
No, he figured, again, being the professional that he is, can't drink on duty. So he was still on duty.
And he was pulled off of the mission he was going on for that day and a half. So they had something else they were trying to do.
They had stuff they were doing. They had to go put the transmitter up.
Now, see, what I would have done, it's like, I tell you what, I can't drink with you, but if you got an empty thermos, I'll drink some of this in your memory.
How about something on the road?
Back
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah.
A little something for the road. That'd be great.
Yeah, give me a nip or two, and I'll take it back to my quarters, and I'll raise my glass to you when I'm off duty.
I'll even call you up on Zoom and drink it with you, but I can't right now.
Zoom drink hour, right?
After they put up the subspace relay, they could totally do that.
They could.
Well, this was definitely a really good episode. Do we have what is going to be for next week? Do you know?
Captain. So next week is season 1, episode 11, Cold Front.
Ooh, sounds like my first date.
Sounds chilly.
Sounds like all your dates.
Oh, no.
Ambassador, could
That's
you please
cold.
take our computer? Oh my goodness, that was funny. Ambassador
That
made a
was
joke.
cold.
Ambassador made a Vulcan joke.
That's awesome.
I'm dead.
That's awesome.
Was Fortunate Son, wasn't that a Credence song?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Okay. I got to get myself together. I'm sorry. I'm just tickled on that.
Nice.
It was a pleasure having you on board, Ambassador. You got to make your way over again. We make sure we're always uncloaked if we know you're in the area. It's always a pleasure having you on board.
It is a pleasure to have communed with you, and certainly we will do this again.
That makes me very happy. Thank you.
Peace and long life, Ambassador.
Live long and prosper.
Now, everyone, listen also. Don't forget to join our Patreon if you wish. We have a bunch of stuff on there. We'll be adding more things. We also have uncensored logs as well as Tribbles doing various Tribble stuff. So there's there. Another piece of story is that I was invited as a guest on the Geek Authority on YouTube. So when that's up, you'll be able to see me give an interview.
Do they really want to see you, though?
They're going to see you as well because I signed all 3 of you to join me the next time.
Oh, Lord.
So you guys are going to be with me. And also, I have him going to wind up being a guest on our show. So we're going to have to do a slingshot and do a drive-by pickup and see how that transporter works and get him on board the ship. So also talk to those guys because we might need another Gollum in case we mess up.
Uh-oh.
So we can put him back to the way he was. So thanks everybody for joining in on our show. Thank you for listening to Premiere. Please be careful and be safe out there. You're almost out of the woods. Now remember, just don't have a great week, but make it so.
And if you can, support the show by going to patreon.com/Starfleet Underground. Lots of perks to choose from, and you might even like some of them. Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.